All
Hey
right,
man,
hey everyone.
you alright,
Man,
bro?
what a night. Good to see you guys. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
here,
you
all 30 of you. Okay, and I heard some English speaking before I came here, which is always good.
yeah.
And so, of course, I am going to, talk a little bit before we start the lesson, maybe 5 minutes of talking. Let's see, we have some normals here. We got Olga, of course, we have Vladimir and stuff. I'm still learning the short names to Russian names. I'm still learning them. Like Alexei is like, oh wait, what is it?
Леша,
Alexander is like Sasha. Alexei is like, I guess, Alex and stuff like
Леша,
that.
Леша.
Daria is Dasha. Tatiana is probably, I don't know, Tanya, something like that. But I'm still learning those names. It's very interesting in Russian. Now, this lesson, I guess, of modal verbs, I usually don't teach grammatical stuff at all because I honestly hate it terribly. But this one was a special request apparently from someone. So I figured there'd be some more people for this, but we'll try it anyway. And hi, everyone's saying hi, Phil. So anything new with anyone before we start? Anything new going on? Anything special? Anything interesting? Anything worth talking about? Anyone had a birthday or a baby? Mm-hmm. Oh, Alexei Lyosha. Yeah, I forgot that one. Awesome. Thanks. I totally forgot. Yeah, anything new with anyone? No, I like to. I heard you guys talking at the beginning, so I figured there's at least something new with somebody. Something's going on with someone. And I'd love to know if you guys want to tell me. That'll be great.
Hey, how is it going, bro?
Okay, I guess not. I
Of
guess you
course,
guys
of
are
course.
same old every day. All right. Add you to friends. All right, that's something new, Dennis. Cool. Added me to friends. All right, that's the one new thing we have. Okay. And what is that? A smiley face with teeth? I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. There you go. It looks like a person with two big teeth when you put the equal sign in the B. Very funny. Never saw it before. All right. So anyway, let's get started with modal verbs. I'll try to make this for an hour long, but I don't know if I can actually keep it that long. But basically, what is a modal verb? A modal verb is an auxiliary verb that expresses necessity or possibility. So let's just discuss those two words first, necessity and possibility. Necessity. Necessity, and possibility. So you got to understand these words before we move on. Does anyone understand the word necessity when it comes to basically the importance of something being done and possibility, which is kind of like the odds? Does anyone can anyone explain or say in Russian necessity and possibility? And who wrote Всвышвуте? Невозможность and возможность. I think возможность is definitely correct. Необходимость, maybe, I'm not sure. Yes, okay. That's necessity and possibility. So basically, you guys understand from the Russian translation, but for those of you who do not speak Russian, necessity of something is how important it is to be done. Basically, how important something is to be completed. So let's see. Some things are very necessary, which makes it a necessity, like it has to be done. For example, I can't stay in Russia longer than 6 months straight. If I stay in Russia for more than 6 months straight without leaving, I could get in big trouble. Big trouble. I can be deported. I could be, they might not allow me back in the country. So it's a necessity. It's a necessity that I leave at least for 5 minutes once every 6 months. Okay, that's a necessity. And then possibility is basically the odds of something happening, the chance, the percentage. So if you have a coin, what's the possibility of you flipping the coin and it landing on heads? What's the possibility if you flip a coin and it lands on heads? What are the odds of that? It landing on heads. Who knows the possibility? 50 what? There's many different ways to say it. But yes, 50%, that's one. Also, you got 1/2, point. Yeah, so 50 and 1 over 2 are like the most common ways to put it. So like 50% chance and 1 over 2. Those are the most common ways to put it. So that's a possibility of something. So some things have higher possibilities than others. So let's get to it. Let's keep going to the definition. English modal verbs include must, shall, will, should, would, can, could, may, and might. Now let me actually copy these. These are the words here that show necessity, necessity or possibility. Must, shall, will, should, would, can, could, may, and might. Let's see if you guys are able to figure out which words express necessity or possibility. Okay? So for example, must. Do you think that's more about necessity or possibility? The word must. Yeah, it's about necessity. So for example sentence with must, I must leave the country once every 6 months. I must, which means it's very important for me to do. So if I don't do it, there can be consequences. So it's a necessity. That one's about necessity mostly. What about shall? Shall, is that about possibility? Or is that more about necessity or both? What about shall? Which we don't really use very much shall. I don't remember the last time I heard someone say I shall, or I don't even know. We should not even talk about that one too much because who uses shall anymore? At least as the infinitive version, just the word shall. Who uses that? Both. Okay, somebody said both. Can you give an example sentence with shall as necessity? Because I understand the possibility, of course. I understand the possibility, like we shall continue on, or shall we continue on? Shall I open the door? Very good. Shall. S-H-A-L-L. As far as I know, mostly in question. Yes, mostly. American people still use shall instead of will. I don't know. I guess it depends on the region, but I don't remember the last time I heard somebody say shall. I don't remember the last time I heard. I was just with Americans tonight at a bar. I don't remember the last time I heard shall. I really just do not remember the last time. It's been a while since I heard shall, so that word is just extremely rare itself, shall. But yes, I and we, according to, yes, we shall overcome. That was a phrase used in America during the 60s in the civil rights era when Black people wanted their freedom. Not like freedom from slavery, but equality. When Black people wanted equality. Yes, nobody speaks like that. But that's the last time I heard it. We shall overcome. And after we overcame, we stopped using that word. And that was in the 60s. So now if they do it, they probably say, we will overcome, or we're gonna overcome. We shall overcome is very old. So yeah, we don't have to work on that one too much because it's old. And I don't want to teach you old stuff and have you talking like somebody from the 60s and shit. I don't want to embarrass you guys. All right, let's go to the next word. Why am I leaving the screen? It's right here, okay? And the next word I copied is actually, after shall, is will. Will. Is that necessity or possibility? Will, or both. Necessity or possibility? Will is possibility. Okay. All right, will is possibility. I understand that. But necessity, somebody said will can be necessity. Who can give an example of will being used in a sentence where it expresses necessity? Because remember, it can be both. I'm telling you that. It can be both. Because it could be both. That's possibility. That's possibility. That doesn't show necessity. Will you need something? That's possibility again. If you say, will you need something, they're asking for the odds of you wanting something later. So that's possibility. Will you do it for me? That's possibility. I don't see the necessity. I will. If you say I will watch the movie, that's still possibility. Will I do it right? That's still possibility. Everything everyone's saying is about percentage here. So when you say I will watch the movie, you're basically saying I'm going to do something, which means it's possible. Even if you're sure, it's still possible because we could die any second. So all this is possibility. I know a close example of necessity with will. I will have to do something. Now, see, I will have, that's about the future. That's still possibility. I could give an example of when will can be close to necessity. For example, let's say you're a child and you have to clean your room, right? Because, you know, and let's say your father is mad at you. Your father's very angry. And your father's like, you know, you have to clean your room. Then the mother says, what does she have to do? The father could say, well, she has to do a lot of stuff. And she will clean her room or else. She will clean her room or else. Kind of like a threat. Like she will clean her room or else. That shows necessity because if she doesn't clean the room, she's going to get maybe smacked or put on punishment. So she will clean her room. She knows better. Or she will come home directly after school. She will do it. Now, it's still possibility in those cases, but it also includes necessity when it shows a threat. Because usually when something is necessary, it's necessary because, not necessary, can't use the same word. Something is necessary because if it doesn't happen, there could be negative consequences, typically. Or something bad can happen. That's what makes something a necessity. So, like, it's a necessity to keep your refrigerator plugged in, okay? When your manager asks you, will you come to my office today? Yeah, that's a good example because that's a necessity and a possibility because that's your boss. If you don't do it, there can be a consequence, or your manager, there can be a consequence, you know, a serious consequence. So I can see the necessity in that necessity. Shit, I forgot where I was. But yeah, you guys got it. You know, that totally threw me off from what I was saying before. But yeah, that's a good point. It shows necessity because there could be punishment behind it if it's not done. But not on a sentence. Yes, it depends on the situation typically, but not on a sentence. Yes, because will is typically, mostly, the vast majority of the time used for possibility. It's about possibility. But in a few cases, it's about necessity. It's about necessity, especially when there's a danger. So like if you don't watch a movie, there's no serious consequences, you know. But if you get stabbed, you know, you're going to need to go to the hospital. So for example, let's say if a guy has a wife, he kisses a girl. Oh no, he doesn't do it. A guy has a wife and he goes, baby, what will happen if I kiss another woman? She could say, if you kiss another woman, I will divorce you. So you will not do it. You won't do it. You will not kiss another woman because I will divorce you. There's like, okay, I won't, I will not. There's some necessity there, okay? All right, so let's get to the next one. With the blah, blah, blah. I forgot what list I'm reading from. Okay, next one is should. Should. Is this more about possibility or necessity? Should. Possibility or necessity or both? Should. Someone delete their answer. Possibility or necessity? Both? Okay. Well, I believe this one is about necessity. But maybe somebody can give me an example sentence of should as a possibility. Oh, yes, it is both. It is both. It is both. It is definitely both, yes. So I'll give examples of both. It's usually about necessity, but it can also be about possibility. So it's like 60-40. So for example with should and necessity, you can say, like, I should exercise if I want to have muscles. I should exercise if I want muscles, because if I don't exercise, it's not going to happen. Or even better yet, I should go to the gym often if I want to have muscles. I should visit the gym often, because if I don't visit the gym often, I'm not going to have a lot of muscles. So, I should do that. It's a good idea. Now, I don't have to go to the gym often. I can go maybe once a week, but I probably won't have great muscle. So it is about both. You should wash your teeth. Oh, we don't say wash your teeth. We say brush your teeth. You should brush your teeth before sleep. Yes, as in it's a good idea. You should obey the law. You should be nice to people around you so they're nice to you. Yes, brush. You should study your English. Yes. But let's get to possibility. Necessity was easy. Let's get to possibility with should. Who can give an example sentence with possibility? Just think of the coin thing. Like, you can probably use that as an example, because I think of some. Should I come? That's possibility. I don't know. That sentence is necessity. You should visit Egypt. No, that shows that's just advice. It's not possibility. I'm not seeing the possibility here being expressed by should. Okay, let me give you an example sentence of should being used once again. Yes, it depends on the situation. Yes, but the sentences they're giving don't express the proper situation. So let's say we're playing heads or tails. Heads or tails is when you flip a coin. You flip the coin and it lands. In Russian, I believe it's Arol Iriechka. So let's say we're playing this game. I think I should call him. He may get offended. That's necessity again. No, that should still shows necessity. But I'll give you an example. Let's say you're flipping a coin, right? The coin lands on tails. You do it again, it lands on tails. You do it again, it lands on tails again. That's 3 times in a row. If I'm a betting man, if I bet money, I'm likely to say, all right, here's my money on heads. It should land on heads this time. It just landed on tails 3 times in a row. It should land on heads. Now, I'm not sure it's going to land on heads, but I believe the possibility of this happening is more than the other because it landed on tails 3 times in a row. How often does that happen when you're flipping coins? So if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say, yo, that should land on heads this time. Let's go for heads. The odds are higher of it going on heads. So come on, it should land on heads this time. Let's go for heads. You understand? That's how that works with possibility. It should. Now, the coin isn't going to have a consequence. The coin, there's no necessity. There's nothing necessary for the coin to do. The coin can do whatever it wants. So should can be used a lot when it comes to possibility with inanimate objects, people that aren't alive. But usually with animals, when you say should, it's more about necessity. Another example, if you buy a new car, a guy can say, this car should last you at least 5 years. This car should last you at least 5 years. Now that's about possibility. The odds of that car lasting 5 years could be about 50%. But there's no necessity for the car to last 5 years because the car doesn't care. What's going to happen to the car? You can't hurt a car. The car has no feelings. It doesn't matter. But when someone says, Phil, you should obey the law, well, if I don't, I could end up in prison and that would mess me up. There could be a negative consequence for me if I break the law, okay? That should do. Right there. That should do. Exactly. That's a perfect example of possibility. People say that should do a lot when they typically finish doing something for you. So let's say you want to make, I don't know, I don't build anything, but let's say you want a new door. You want a new door that can't be broken into by gopniks or criminals. You want a new door. So if I come to your house, I put up this new door that's beautiful and nice, and I believe this door will do well. When I'm finished making the door, I'm going to say, there we go. That should do. You should be safe. You should be safe. Now, the sentence you should be safe can be used in 2 ways. That sentence, it shows necessity and possibility, but it depends on the situation. But in this case, I just made you a door, and I think the door is good. And if I say to you, hey, you should, that should do. That should do. is that necessity or possibility in that case? That should do, or you should be safe now. That should do, you should be safe now. Are they showing necessity or possibility? If you're in prison. No, not prison. But you're at home. I just made a new door for you, a new door so you could feel safe. And after I make the door for you, I say, yeah, that should do. You should be safe. Are those shoulds expressing necessity or possibility? Okay, we got one for possibility. Any other guesses? Only one? People are scared? I can see this is a little tougher than I planned on. But yes, it's possibility in this case. No, it's yes, possibility. It's possibility in this case. Because when you finish a door or you finish doing something for somebody, when you say that should do, you're basically saying the odds of this completing the task is high. The odds are high. It's likely to complete the task, okay? That's what he means. So when after that he says, you should be safe. Relating to this should do basically means the odds of you being safe are much higher now. The odds of you being safe are much higher now. It's different if, let's say, I'm coming to Russia and somebody say, hey, Russia can be dangerous for you. You should be safe. You should be safe. In that case, what they mean is necessity. That means I should take care of myself in that case. They're saying you should be safe, as in Russia is dangerous. You better make sure to protect yourself. You understand? So those are two different situations with should, and they both show, one shows necessity and one shows possibility. They give you advice. Yes, when they warn you, that's about necessity. But the possibility is about something completing its task, or even a person completing a task. So let's say another example, I could give you one with an animate object, with a person using should for as expressing possibility. So the American team in basketball, they're the best team in the world. Like they almost never lose. They always win the gold, like 90% of the time. You know, no one worries about America losing. Like we don't really think about it. If they lose, we're surprised. Like what? American basketball lost? Like we're surprised. It's so strange. So because they're so good, if someone says, you're going to watch the Americans play, I'm like, no, they should win the whole thing as usual. I mean, they got the best team, so they should win. Why should I watch? They should definitely win. Like that's the odds of things happening. They should win, as in I'm pretty sure they're going to win. You're going to watch America versus France? Why? You know, I'm not going to watch that. America should win as usual. That's what usually happens. France shouldn't even play. They shouldn't even play. Spain, except for Spain, they're okay. China shouldn't even play. You know what I mean? So in that case, it can show, like, yes, they're going to win. In that case, they're likely to win, you know? So who do you think is going to win, Phil? America or China? Shit, America should win. What do you think? Definitely America. America should definitely win because they're much better. America should win because they are better. But if I were to say America should win because we need them to win, that shows necessity because we need it. But America should win because they have the best team. The best team shows I'm going with possibility. There's no need, it's just the odds, okay? So America should win because we need them to win. That shows a needing. And if they don't win, I can feel bad. But with possibility, when I say America has the best team, they should win, that shows possibility, that shows the odds, okay? Excellent. Should was kind of difficult. I hope you guys got that, at least kinda. I understand how it could be very difficult, but it really depends on the situation. The situation is what's most important, okay? So we did must, shall, forget shall, it's so old. Must, will, should, would, okay? Now we're doing would. Is would, I'll write the would. It's not grammar, it's like would. Is would necessity or possible? So Americans say we should win because they win all the time. And China say we should win because they need that. Exactly, perfect sentence. Perfect sentence, Muhammad, exactly. Americans say we should win because we're the best. and trying to say we should win because we always lose. We should win this time. We always lose. Yes, perfect example of one showing possibility and the other showing necessity. Okay, next one is would. Is would necessity, possibility, or both? We got possibility. Okay, I'm going to agree with you on this, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Can anyone give an example sentence with would showing necessity before we get to possibility? Can anyone show I would like to settle down in Mexico? You kind of, yes, I would like to settle down in Mexico. I would like to. So does that show possibility or necessity? Oh, touchpad. Okay. So if you say possibility. So when you say I would like to settle down, you're basically saying I want to settle down. I want to. It doesn't necessarily show the odds of you doing it. It just shows that you want to. I would like to settle down. Yeah, there's no odds there. You just want to. If you were to say I would like to settle down in Mexico, but I don't have enough money yet, that could kind of show that it's possibility. But in this case, it doesn't really show possibility in this case. It just says I would like to settle down in Mexico. If you end the sentence that way, possibility, no odds. That's why it's possibility. Well, I guess it could depend on the conversation as well, but to me, when I mean, you could be right, but I'm just giving my view from this sentence right here specifically. If there's no history between the speaker and the listener, and I'm a listener and I just hear someone say, I would like to settle down in Mexico. Okay, yes, I can see that. Yes, I guess that makes it more clear. It shows possibility. Yes, it doesn't show necessity, but it shows possibility somewhat. Yeah, it does. Sometimes it's enough to observe the countenance of the speaker to make what it is, possibility. Yes, sometimes you got to understand the full conversation and the whole sentence. But yeah, I'll give you that one. Okay, that's a good sentence. I would like to settle down in Mexico because somebody told me that it's cool. Another example, I would like to have $1 million. No, I would like to have it. I would like to have $1 million, but I don't see it showing possibility there, like the odds of me having it. I would like to, but it doesn't show exactly, but it doesn't really show the odds of it happening, like the possibility. You know, I think it would show more possibility if I said something like, I would like to have $1 million, but it's hard to win the lottery. I would like to have $1 million, but it's hard to win the lottery. That goes to show that you would like to have it, but it shows the odds are low because it's difficult to win the lottery. But I'll go with you on this. I would say what is about possession because I can't think of it about necessity. Right, who wouldn't? But I can't think of an example with necessity. I can't think of one with necessity. Can anyone think of anything would a necessity? I would do something because I would do that because I would do it. Also, for example, let's listen to this. Let's say I have a friend. There shouldn't be a necessity example. But let's see. Let's try this one. Let's see what you guys think. Let's say I have a friend who has to go to court. In America, when you get arrested, when the cops find you and put handcuffs on you, you have to go to court. You have to go see the judge. And if you don't go see the judge, you know, you will get in more trouble. You would get in more trouble, right? So let's say I have a friend who has to go to court to see the judge, right? If I'm talking to him, I could say something like, dude, if I were you, I would go to court because you could get in trouble. I would go to court if I were you. I would go to court if I were you. Does that show possibility or does it show necessity or neither? Dude, I would go to court if I were you. I would go because that's big trouble. I would go. I would go. Necessity? Oh, it shows, somebody said possibility. All right, explain how when you say, I would do it. When you're talking to a friend who should do something, when you say, I would do it, you could be right. But how does it show possibility instead of necessity in this case? Which I'm not saying you're wrong. Remember, I'm not saying you're wrong. I've joined you. All right, Yana. I would go because as for me, yes, because me, not you. Yes, yes. But as for you, you should go. Right. Good point. And plus, when people talk about what they would do, they don't know that. They don't know it 100%. That's just possibility. It's like when somebody has $1 billion, right? Somebody has $1 billion and they buy 10 cars. A lot of poor people would say, okay, sorry. A lot of poor people would say something like, oh, I wouldn't do that. If I had $1 million, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? It's just the odds of it happening. They don't know that. They think they know that, but they most likely, they don't know for sure because they're not rich. They're not in the situation. And that's the reason why it's impossible to create a necessity sentence. Yeah, good point. I can say I'd like to have money to feed my kids. You could say I would like to have money to feed my kids. I would like to have. Yeah, but it still shows possibility because you might not have it. It doesn't really show a necessity there. It doesn't really show it shows a necessity, but it's not used as a necessity in that sentence. And there's no 100% assurance, right? So I would like to have money to feed my children. Yes, I can see why you would think it's a necessity. It's close to it. I would, but so let's take this. I should have money to feed my children. How do we know that's a necessity? Because if you don't have the money, you can't feed your children. That's plain and simple logic. I must have money in order to feed my children. Of course, logic, necessity, must is stronger than should. But I would like to have money. I would like to have money to feed my kids. Now, I can see how that feels like necessity to you in that case, but it's just showing what the person would prefer and what they want. So I can't 100% say that's, it could be used as necessity, but I can see where you're coming from, and that is close. I would like to, what's funny? Right, exactly. When you say I would like to have money to feed my children, there's no need to say that that sentence is actually irrelevant. It's actually an irrelevant sentence because what you're actually saying, in other words, is there is a chance that I would prefer to have money to feed my children. Of course you want money to feed your children. Would is actually irrelevant in that sentence. It shouldn't be, I would like to have money to feed my children. People would use a sentence like that if they're being funny or sarcastic or something of that nature. So let's say a wife is with her kids and the husband's leaving. She goes, can I have some money, please? He goes, why? And she can say, well, I would like to have some money to feed my children. So in that case, where she's saying, I would like to have some money to feed my kids, of course she wants money to feed her kids, but she's saying it in a funny way to show him that she needs money. She's showing that she needs it, but she's saying it in a funny way. She doesn't really need it. It's like it's important to have money. You understand? So of course she knows. Of course she knows. She wants the money. Of course she wants it. There's no possibility. She needs it, so she wants it 100%. It's not about chance. Of course, it's a necessity. It's a necessity, but in the sentence, we're talking about possibility, okay? So basically, when you're using those kind of sentences, you're typically being funny. Like when people say, well, like in Russia, sometimes we don't have hot water. Sometimes in Russia, we don't have hot water for like 2 weeks. So let's just say they say the hot water will be out for a year. I can say, I don't want the hot water to be out for a year. Why is it out for a year? Why is it so important to you? I can say, well, I would like to have a shower this year. I would like to have a regular shower this year. Of course, I want to have a regular shower. I'm saying I would like just to be funny. So I think it is about possibility. Yes, it's a necessity to have a shower. It's a necessity to have a shower, but in that sentence, it's being used as a possibility, as humor almost. It's being humorous. If you had driven carefully, you would not have crashed that night. Yes, I would like to have a lot of money for some purpose. Necessity. I don't think that's, if you were to say I would like to have a lot of money for some purpose, I can see how it's a necessity, but like I'm trying to say, would in those cases is not a necessity. There's no reason to have would there. Why have would? You know, I want to have a lot of money, or I need to have a lot of money. Why say I would like? Like there's no need to say that at all unless you're being kind of right. I understand some purpose is anything, unless you're being kind of humorous. There's no need for it. Would need to do, yes, would be in a certain situation. So I could say if I were playing basketball as a professional, I would need to work out a lot. I would need to, oh, that's a good one. Would need. That's necessity. That's a good one. Would need, but that's more about the word need than would. The word need would show necessity, but the word need itself is kind of showing the necessity instead of would. So if I say I must do my homework, must is showing necessity itself. Must is the word that's showing necessity. Explain what I would need to train if I were a professional basketball player. That one. Would, like, is your wish. Yes, it's like your wish. It's something you want. So I guess you mean explain would need to. I can explain would need to if you like. Okay, so when you say I would need to do something, the word would is showing chance, possibility, because it's about something that's not really need. It's not something that's not really a reality or might not ever be a reality. So for example, if I were a professional athlete, I would need to train all the time. But I'm not a professional athlete at all. I'm not. So that's just me making another, me just imagining something and putting me in a situation. That's where I would use would and would need or would want. If I were a rich person, I would want to give money to everybody. You don't know that. You know, you don't know. You're putting yourself in another situation. Of course, it depends on the situation. If I were a professional athlete, I would need to work out all the time. Now, I'm not saying it's proper. I'm not saying it's proper grammar to say would need, but people would say that if they're putting themselves in another situation. I have to do. Why not say yes, I'd have to. You can say I'd have to. If I were a professional athlete, I'd have to work out all the time. You can say that as well. That's probably more common. But would need would be said once in a while. You have to work all the time. Yes, you must work all the time. You have to work. You have to work all the time. Same thing. Same thing as I have to do it. Would need. No. No, what typically when we're saying would need is when we're putting ourselves in another situation that we're not in. So if I were Russian, I would need to pay taxes in Russia. Or if I were Russian, I would have to pay taxes in Russia. If you say to somebody, you have to work or I have to work, that's a real situation. You don't have to say I would. It's a real situation. So you don't have to put yourself in someone else's shoes. So they're completely different. So you have to work that's what you got to do. That's a necessity. But if you are American, you would need or you would have to or you'd have to pay taxes in America. That's a different situation. It's not really a necessity. That's just if you were American. It's nothing important. Okay? So to have is necessity and would need is possibility. I would say we're going by one word at a time. Would need is a combination. But in that case, would is still possibility, but the sentence is necessity because need is there. But the word would is still possibility, but the sentence is necessity. It must be done. Yes, imaginary. Yeah, imaginary stuff. This has to be recorded so I could download from somewhere to watch it later. I'm not sure, but you can ask. But all right, I want to get to the next word and we can come back to this because it's taking a lot of time. Okay, so we have would, then can. What about can? C-A-N, can. The word can, does it show necessity or possibility? Possibility 100%? So we got two necessities, one possibility. Now, as of right now, I agree with that it's 100%, that can is possibility. But who can give an example with necessity? Now remember, you can give an example sentence with the word can that can show necessity in the sentence, but the word itself has to be used as a necessity, not just a sentence, but the word itself. Like I must stay. That word must itself shows necessity. You understand? So we got to get it like that. Ability to do something. Okay, he thinks 100%. Now I actually agree with you guys. I think it's both. I think it's both. I think it's both. Right. And I can give example sentences with both. Now he sees it's both. So for example, necessity. Actually, necessity. It's actually just possibility. It's just possibility. There's no necessity with it at all. It's just possibility. It's just possibility 100%. So somebody can say, Phil can play basketball, or the coin can land on heads. That shows right there that it might happen, but there's no consequences. Just like she said, just like Olga said, there's no punishment for anything with can. There's no punishment. That a fish cannot swim. No, but even in that sentence, I can't see someone showing necessity with can. That's like optional. Can is usually optional or possible when can. Like, can he do this? Can he do that? Right, it's 100% possibility. It's possible. Right. So you'd be really good right now if you could think of a sentence with can, in which can shows necessity. If you can do that, you're an expert. Can, necessity. Because your father can't say, he can clean the room. He can clean the room. It doesn't work like that way. You can vote? No, that's not showing necessity. Nah, I can't think of it. I can't think of it. I think it's all possibility. I can't think of one. If you guys can think of one, let me know. But to me, I just see possibility. That's all I see is possibility. So a lot of times we say, you mustn't swim. That's not, we're using can. We're using can. That's different. We're using can. Let me write it. We're using can. So I can say, you can't swim because you don't know how. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. How about this? Let's brainstorm this. Let's say that there's an ocean, a beach where people swim. But there's sharks in this water. There's a lot of sharks in this water. And somebody's about to swim. And I say, wait, listen to this sentence and let me know what you think. Somebody's about to go swim in the water where there's sharks, a lot of sharks. But this person doesn't know the sharks are there. When he's running, I can scream, you can't swim in that ocean. You can't swim there. You can't swim there. Does that show necessity or possibility? You can't swim there. It's a possibility not to swim. You can't swim there. In that case, it's not a possibility, not necessity. Does anyone think it's necessity? You can't swim there. Yes, it's very similar to you must not swim there. Well, actually, it's not you must not. It's closer to you should not. Right, it's not a good idea. It's closer to you should not. You should not. Right, it's close to you should not. And when it goes to you should not, how about this? I wish I would have known an English more deeply. That has nothing to do with can. We're working on can right now. Don't confuse me too much because I have like a one-track mind. When I go to something else, I get lost. But anyway, right now we're focusing on can. If you say, you can't swim there, that basically means you should not swim there, okay? It's kind of, yeah, it's like it's forbidden. You can't swim there. But I think it's still possibility, because I think in that case, when you say you can't swim there, what he's saying is the odds of you swimming properly are low. Right, the odds of you swimming there are low. You shouldn't. Oh, it's in this case, when you say you can't swim there, can't still in this case is being used as should in this case. You should not swim there. And then yet again, saying you can't swim there is actually an improper sentence in this case. I was just giving you guys a brainstorm. Some people will say that, but it's actually improper. It's improper to say you can't swim there just as a sentence by itself. You have to say you can't swim there, there's sharks in there. Or you can't swim there, you're not allowed. You can't swim there, you don't know how. But you have to complete the sentence with something else so the person can understand you can't swim there. You can't swim there, you're black, something like that. Typically, you have to explain it a little more. Because when you say that, the person doesn't know if you mean by necessity or possibility. When you say you can't swim there, the person doesn't know if it's by necessity or possibility. We don't know. You can't swim. Like, you want to go swim on the beach? No, you can't swim. You can't swim there. We don't know for sure if it's necessity or possibility. But if someone says you should swim there or you shouldn't swim there, we know it's about necessity immediately. So that's why using can't. I'm freezing? Sorry if I'm free. Oh, okay. No, that's just with you, bro. Your internet is freezing. It's not me. You might want to reset. But like no smoking, yes, that means it's a necessity not to smoke because there's a punishment. When you say no smoking, there's a punishment. But see, in that case, that's different. If you say you can't smoke, in that case, that sounds like a necessity. But the only reason in this case why it's seen as a necessity is because we all know there's punishments and rules for smoking. There's not typically punishments and rules for swimming in the ocean, especially an ocean that you swim in all the time. We all know there's places that you can't smoke at. We all know that. So when you say you cannot smoke here, we know is by necessity. We know, good example, you cannot smoke here. Can is necessity in that case because you cannot smoke here. But the only reason why it's necessity in this case is because we all already know that there's places we're not allowed to smoke at. We already know this. This is common. This is extremely common. But if you're at if you're at a beach which never has sharks, and one day it has sharks, you don't know, and someone says you can't swim there, you're not going to understand. It's like, I can swim wherever I want. I've been swimming here forever. That's why you need more information with that sentence. But with smoking, you don't need any more of an explanation. You don't need any more. So in that case, it shows necessity. You can't smoke here. So it's necessity and possibility, yes. But the necessity in this case is rare. It's rare. It's rare with the necessity. It's usually used with possibility because it's not a good idea to use can't as a necessity general, unless it's something you already know about. That's what makes it hard. It has to be something everyone knows about. You can't smoke here. You can't, what is something you can't cross the street there? Something like some rules we all kind of know. You can't say those words in public. Right, you can't say those words in public. That shows necessity. That because it's something we already know. So it's rare, but it's like I'd say can and cannot is like 80% possibility, 20% necessity. Right, you can't feed the animals in the zoo. Of course you can. It's extremely possible, but it's not a good idea because there can be consequences. You can't swim today because the waves are very dangerous. You can't swim today because the waves are very dangerous. But see, in that case, it's still not exactly sure. It's not that commonly known because maybe the person is just looking out for you. In this case, it could be a possibility. They're saying you can't swim there because you might get hurt. It could be about possibility. Maybe your friend could say, hey, you can't swim today, man. You're not that good. These waves are crazy. You can't swim. You're not that good. According to the law, he can go. And if he's a good swimmer, he will have no punishment. But if we know that once in a while there's a law that doesn't allow us to swim when waves are of a certain size, then you're able to say you can't swim there because you're not allowed. Okay, so when you say you can't swim today, wave is very dangerous, that's possibility. Yes, I agree, that's possibility. But if it's something known, like some kind of law or some kind of rule where waves are, when they're more than 10 feet tall, you get a fine or straf, you get a fine for swimming, then that will show necessity. You can't swim today. The waves are 10 feet high. We're going to get in trouble. You can't buy a bottle of water because I have already bought it. No, see, in that case, using can't is just ridiculous. It's not needed in that case. I mean, basically in that case, there's no need. There's no need. There's no reason. There's no necessity to buy a bottle of water. Good point. There is no necessity to buy a bottle of water because I already bought it. In that case, yes, necessity. You can't say there is no possibility to buy a bottle of water because I already bought it. Yes, you can. But in that case, there is no necessity to buy a bottle of water because I already have it. Yes, the word not could be used for possibility and necessity. Can is used necessity, but may. Yeah, but we don't use may. That's what they teach you in your textbooks, but we don't use may. We say can for everything. Can I go outside? Can I buy you a drink? May is very old and very rarely used. Okay, it just can't. Can we use can? I am so lost. It just can't. All right, yeah, we actually have 7 minutes left, so I'm gonna have to go to the next word. I think we have like 2 more. Oh shit, we have 3 more. Okay, but the last one is real easy. The last one's real easy. So let's do the next one. Could. Yes, if there's no bottles left, that is different. That is true, and you're right. Could. That would show possibility. You're absolutely right. But let's get to could. Is could about possibility, necessity, or both? On the top of my head, I think could is 100% possibility, but maybe somebody can prove me wrong. I think it's 100% possibility, but maybe somebody can prove me wrong. Let's see. So let's see. We got somebody who put both. Suggestion and advice, right? But who can show me an sense? It's not at all. You can't say you cannot swim in the pool right now, because the way we use cannot, we can use that to express things you can't do because of the rules or because of consequences. But it doesn't work exactly the same with could. It doesn't work exactly the same. Not exactly the same. Maybe in past tense, like he couldn't swim because the waves were too high. In past tense, yes. In past tense, it can be. Right, that's past tense. In past tense, it can, but it still shows it's different because it only can be used that way in past tense, talking about the past. But when we're talking about present right now, it can't be used that way. So they're definitely different. So let's say, so who can give an example with necessity? All right, so Dennis said, you couldn't smoke. You couldn't smoke. It was a necessity for you not to smoke because you could have gotten in trouble. Yes, I couldn't stand it. Yes, I go at that. Yes, if not a past tense. Yes, if it's not past tense, it's 100% possibility. But with past tense, it could be used with necessity. So 100% possibility when used in present. And what about the future? No future. Yeah. No, I think it's the same. So about the past, yes, it can be used as necessity when talking about the past, only the past. So this one is a little tricky. See, this one's a little damn tricky there. You couldn't smoke, not because you didn't want to, but because it was against the law. That's why you couldn't do it, and you know it. You know what I mean? So let me give another quick example before we go to the next word. You could have gone to the doctor if you had such a bad headache. Yes, let's get to this one because this is an example that pissed me off. Like I told you guys about a friend I had who said he put some girls in the friend zone. That he put these girls in the friend zone. And he said basically that, yeah, I put them in the friend zone. I don't want to be with them. But what's funny is what I tried to explain to him was this. He was mixing up necessity with possibility. When he was saying he put those girls in the friend zone, I was basically saying, well, you put the girls in the friend zone out of necessity, not out of possibility. And it was out of necessity because they didn't like him anyway. He had no chance. He had no option. So therefore, it's not out of possibility. So let's say if there was a chance one of those girls liked him, he said, I put them in a friend zone. He's doing that because he's picking. He has a choice of whether to be with them or to not be with them. It's possible to be with them if he chooses yes. But he said no. In that case, he put him in a friend zone out of the odds, out of the possibility of him enjoying time with them. But he did it out of necessity because he had no choice. Okay? Let's get to the next word. The next word is going to be Bojamoy. May. You know what? I don't know if we should waste time with May because we don't have a lot of time anyway. So let's skip May. Let's skip May. We're going to go to the last one. Forget May because we don't use it that much. We're going to go to might. Is this possibility or necessity? I'm off the top of my head, I think this is 100% possibility. But if it could be necessity, please let me know. We only have 3 minutes. If anyone could give me an example sentence with necessity, with might showing necessity, let me know. Because this sounds 100% about possibility. You might, no. Well, some people may say things like, you might not want to, but that's different. It's a possibility. No one says you might not smoke here. What the hell? Nah. No, but let's see. Maybe he can make one, though. Maybe he can make one. Our necessity. You or... I don't know. I think it's just possibility. I'm thinking. But what about the future? No, I just see possibility. If any of you can think of necessity, I'll be impressed. But I only see may is related to permission. Yes, to use it in the future. He might go there tomorrow. I don't know. I'm talking about the future. He might go there tomorrow. If you might say if you want. If you want. Yes. But I don't see any examples with necessity. No, I don't see it. If you could give me an example with necessity, I'll take it. But I don't. If you use if you want, so it's up to you to decide, I think. Yes, it's up to you to decide. Yes, if you want. Yes, it's right. It's about possibility or choices. Choices about possibility. Right. I can. That's why. If you don't have a lot of choices, it's by necessity. So a lot of people, like basically a lot of people, the more money you have, the more possibility of things you can buy. The higher the chances are. But when you're poor, certain things you got to buy by necessity because you can't afford to buy the other things. So if you're buying a Giguli, you're buying it out of necessity because that's all the money you have. You can't afford to buy a more expensive car because then you'll be homeless. And then that's the punishment. But when you're rich, it's more about possibility. I could get this car if I feel like it. I could get that car, but I don't really feel like it. You know, this car might not be that much fun. So it's not about necessity in that case. The more money you have, the less your life is about necessity and the more it is about possibility. So I'm trying to make my life about possibility. I'm trying to make it about options instead of what I need to do. I'm working on it. All right, guys, there you go. Model verbs, that was interesting. That was actually really fun, trying to figure out necessity and possibility. And there's still ways like probability, ability, obligation and advice, permission, habits, and past modals. So there's still more to do on this. Maybe we'll continue Thursday. I can't figure anything. I can't either with necessity. You may take a few bottles of water if you get thirsty. Yeah, but we're not going to do may. But yeah, you can use it that way. But may is not usually used. People just say you can take a few bottles of water if you're thirsty. All right, guys, I hope you guys have a good night or a good day. I'm going to eat some chicken. I'm going to call somebody and yell at her, and I am going to enjoy myself, all right? So I'll see you guys later. You guys would never imagine that before this lesson, I had like a really big argument with a girl. That's how good I am at controlling myself and my emotions when I'm working. But, you know, if I wasn't working, you guys would see how kind of pissed I am. But anyway, there we go. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night or a good day.